You can know your worth logically and still not feel it. That's because your subconscious mind is running patterns that were formed long before you were aware of them. Welcome to or back to my channel, Self-Love Lexi. Today we're going to be talking about the subconscious mind and self-love. As a self-love coach, I go very, very deep into the subconscious and the nervous system. The subconscious literally controls 95% of your reality. And I know that seems a lot. That seems like too much, but let me break it down realistically. As somebody who believes in God, I think God created us to create because he created us in his image. And the first thing he did was create. Now, a lot of people will go as far as to say that the subconscious creates your reality. And I agree with this to an extent. Basically, your subconscious stores patterns, beliefs, habits, expectations, everything from past experiences, especially emotionally charged experiences. What we're seeing right now is visually around 0.00035% of what we can actually perceive. Our eyes can only perceive so much of what is going on around us. And everything we're perceiving is being filtered through our subconscious. And now if you have beliefs like I'm not good enough, I'm not loved, everything in life you're going to filter through that behavior, that belief, and then produce an action because of the programs that are going on in your head. And the crucial part is most of these programs became a program in your head when you were super young. Your mind is most absorbable from age 0 to 7. After that, you still have the ability to change your mind. We know this through neuroplasticity. I know this personally because I've changed my life through changing my subconscious mind. I've witnessed my own mother change beliefs and change patterns at her age as well. So I know it's true. Your level of self-love is going to dictate what you accept and receive out of life. But a lot of the times it is programmed in our subconscious what our level of baseline of self-love is. A lot of the times when people say self-love, it's a very fluffy word. It's kind of a happy word. Every time you hear self-love, you associate it with self-care, like bubble baths, candlelit, all these things. But for me, in my journey, self-love means so much deeper than just self-care, bubble baths, and candles. Self-love has literally changed my life from the inside out. It has changed the way I viewed myself. It has changed my perception of the world. It has changed the way I interact and communicate with people, the confidence I bring, the energy I bring. It literally has changed my entire life. And so I work with self-love a lot. I teach people how to love themselves. I am a self-love coach. And so self-love is something I'm constantly thinking about, but in more deep level. Now, I think there's 8 pillars, actual pillars to self-love. And so that's what I'm going to teach you today. And I wanted to bring the subconscious mind in this because every time I speak about self-love, a lot of the problems or barriers or limitations are rooted in your subconscious, specifically emotionally intense experiences. For me, a lot of my lack of self-love when I was younger was because of abandonment and bullying and feeling unworthy enough. And so all these very intense experiences forced me to create a story in my head that I was unloved. And if I wasn't loved by anybody, how could I love myself? And I didn't love myself. But through a bunch of healing, my healing journey, I began to deeply and unapologetically love myself, and that changed my life entirely. Before I get into the 8 pillars of self-love, I want to let you guys know that I have spots open for my coaching. You can go link in bio, as well as the link in bio, you can access my free monthly group calls every single month, once a month, on the 3rd Friday of every month, 6 to 7 p.m. Eastern, and if anything changes, everyone will know. I host an hour call, a group call. This call, I want to be super interactive. I want it to feel like a community, feel like best friends are on FaceTime. And obviously you can ask any questions that you want about your healing journey and your subconscious mind, your nervous system, really anything. You can sign up in the link in my bio as well. On top of that, I have Lovely Ladies group chat. This is a group chat where I post 3 times a week, from action steps to take, journal prompts to take. Even if I go on YouTube and I see a really important YouTube video that I think everybody should watch, I will upload it there. I recently found an app on investments and I thought it was so fun, so unique, that I sent it to the group as well. Also access mini courses I have on there. Just check it out, I'm sure you'll love it. And a little introduction if I haven't already, I'm Alexis, I'm a self-love coach and I teach you how to love yourself at the root. Now let's get into the 8 pillars of self-love. First is self-awareness. You cannot change anything without being aware of it. This consists of knowing your patterns, knowing why you do the things that you do. A lot of us are very self-aware, so this is perfect. But if you're not, a lot of times we love to avoid. We love to avoid what's actually happening, and I see this a lot with people in their bank accounts. They avoid their bank accounts because they don't want that guilty feeling, the shame, the fear to come up anytime they look at their bank accounts. But that is the first step it takes to actually change the number in that bank account. Being aware of the habits you hold now. If you know you have a problem with self-hatred and you're not bringing awareness to it, you are never going to change it because you just keep adding layers and layers and layers on top, which doesn't do anything. You're basically putting a band-aid on an open, bleeding wound. That's going to help momentarily. What about cleaning the wound first? That's what self-awareness does, and it stings. I'm going to be so real with you, it stings, but it's essential to your growth. Next part is a little controversial, but it's self-acceptance. I went through a lot of my life just getting to the next stage, having a vision of what I wanted my life to look like and just getting there. But it always came from self-hatred. So for example, when I was younger, starting my gym journey, I went to the gym and I wanted to either lose weight or gain weight because I hated the way I looked. And no matter what, no matter how much weight I gained or lost, no matter how good my body looked, it was always rooted in the intention of self-hatred. It only changed when I started my inner work journey and started to change my mindset around self-hatred to self-love. When I started to love myself, I started to be aware of the need to accept where I am now. Acceptance does not mean you don't have to change. I accept where I am right now, but I am definitely going to do better tomorrow. I am 1% better every single day. Acceptance does not make you lazy. It just allows you to love where you are now so you can grow in that love. You want to accept your emotions without judging them. Feel those emotions. You don't need to be perfect, and that is okay. You're allowed to mess up. You're allowed to slip up, and give yourself the self-compassion. Own your past without letting it define you. The third pillar is self-trust. Can you trust yourself? Can you trust yourself with decisions? Do you follow through with what you say you're going to do? A lot of the times, we don't trust ourselves and we don't acknowledge that. Imagine if somebody told you that they were going to call you at the same time every single day, and every single night they didn't call you. Aren't you just going to eventually lose respect in that person, not trust them, because they keep saying they're going to do something and not do it? But you do this to yourself all the time. This isn't to throw shade at you, because trust me, I'm somebody myself who has those moments where I tell myself I'm going to do something and I don't do it. But self-trust is a huge foundation to self-love. You want to live in integrity. When you trust yourself, you set decisions and you stand by those decisions. You stop constantly seeking validation. A huge factor for seeking validation is the inability to trust your own decisions. And you actually follow through on what you say. So if you know you're somebody who doesn't trust yourself, I promise you it is easy to gain that trust back. It just takes consistency and repetition. First, I love this inner work. I love this so much. Every single day when you wake up, write down one thing you're going to do that day. Make it easy, okay? I'm going to drink 1 glass of water. I'm going to go on a 5-minute walk. Make it so easy that it's inexcusable to not do it. And eventually you're going to build that self-trust You're going to build that self-trust up so much that you will see a difference in the way you communicate with others, the way you carry yourself, the confidence you have. You will see the difference. The fourth pillar is self-respect, okay? Have those standards, raise those standards, hold boundaries, and keep them and stand by them. Self-respect is how your self-love shows up externally. Your self-respect shows what you tolerate in relationships. Are you being treated horribly by your person? Are you being cheated on, lied to, and staying? Or you're even in a relationship where you know it's not living up to the potential you know you can have. Maybe you're in a relationship where you just feel like you need to be because you need to feel that love. I used to be in constant relationships because I felt so alone on my own. I always seeked validation, which forced me to be in such toxic, ugly relationships because I didn't have standards for myself. Now that I have standards for myself, I may speak to fewer people, but the people I'm speaking to are much greater in quality and they make my life better. Another point of this is, how do you let people treat you? How do you let people treat you? How do you let people talk to you? I'm not saying going around being absolutely obnoxious and rude, but when you have that level of respect, when you respect yourself, people are going to respect you. For example, I would never say things to myself like I'm dumb, I'm stupid, so why would I let anybody else say those things to me? Self-respect also shows you what you walk away from, what you tolerate and what you don't tolerate. If you don't have self-respect, you don't have self-love, and it doesn't matter how much you journal. Boundaries in this are also huge, but I have a video on how to set boundaries. So if you are a little anxious and maybe a people pleaser, I would definitely go to that video and see. The fifth pillar is self-compassion. This one ties directly into inner child healing. We are mostly our worst critics. Every time you mess up, oh my god, why did I do this? I'm so stupid. I never, ever, don't let me catch you saying those things about yourself. Anytime you say horrible things about yourself, I want you to have me at the back of your mind being like, girl, no, absolutely not. We do not speak to ourselves like this. Because whenever you're speaking horribly about yourself, you're actually speaking to your inner child. I think it's good to have a backbone. I think it's really important to be able to stand up and say, you know what, I could have done better. But beating yourself down constantly is doing absolutely nothing but ruining your self-perception, your self-love towards yourself. I remember one time I was going to my G test. I remember being so anxious. What if I fail? What if my mom gets mad at me? Since I was younger, I've had an irrational fear of my mom getting mad at me for literally anything. So I kept thinking, oh my goodness, what if she gets mad at me? What if I fail? What will I do? And in that moment, I chose to give so much self-compassion to myself. I remember sitting there being like, Alexis, I love you unconditionally no matter what. You could fail. You could hit a freaking car and I will still love you. And in that moment, I started tearing up and I had a breakthrough there, a breakthrough of how I speak to myself. I no longer was the version of myself that spoke such harsh words over myself. I only spoke amazing and fulfilling, and I only speak life over myself now. Self-compassion is so essential. How are you going to speak to yourself in a manner you wouldn't even speak to your best friend? If you wouldn't allow somebody to speak to your best friend like that, you damn well should not allow yourself to speak to yourself like that. Speak to yourself with patience and love and empathy and understanding, and watch how you bloom. You might have a moment where you're like, oh, I just forgive you. I love you so much. And you will literally, your character will change. The sixth one is self-concept. This is how you think about yourself, which is huge. This one's a little sneaky because it can come up in the background as like a nag at you all the frickin' time. Whenever I used to walk into a room, I used to automatically assume people were judging me because deep down, I was judging me. My self-perception was that I was ugly, I was too tall, I didn't look good, I couldn't be loved, everybody was judging me. That is just how I viewed myself. And so that's how I showed up externally. A funny thing I realized when I just started my inner work journey is I had always been like, oh my god, everyone's judging me. So many people judge me. But then because I had this belief in the back of my head, I kept showing up as somebody that other people would judge. It's so funny how that works. I feel like self-compassion and self-concept go hand in hand. Self-compassion is more being so gentle with yourself during hard times, and self-concept is just the baseline of how you see yourself. I see myself as somebody who is deserving of love, deserving of abundance. I deserve everything that I want in life. And I know I'm gonna get it. I think everybody should have that baseline of confidence. The seventh one is discipline. I think a huge part of self-love is having the discipline to do things that will get you to your goal. Something that I really strive towards is looking at long-term gratification over short-term gratification. And this comes up in my life daily. For example, I post on social media, and every single time I go to post, I get sucked in the loophole that is meant to get me sucked in. But with self-discipline, I have the ability to be like, you know what? I'm not gonna scroll. I'm actually not gonna scroll. I'm gonna do something better with my time because I know I have a goal here and I wanna get there. And this is not gonna help me get there, but this will. For example, my eating patterns, my eating habits. I may eat a little bit of junk food sometimes, but the majority of the time, I am eating healthy foods that will get me to where I wanna be. Being disciplined is doing what's good for you even when you don't want to do it. And I see this counter argument, especially as a woman, we can't always be disciplined because we have different cycles and different phases, and I entirely respect that. I also think it is so important to have a few things that you do no matter how you feel. There's actually a part of your brain, the prefrontal cortex, a specific part in it though, that grows when you do things that are good for you even when you don't want to. And that's why we stay disciplined. And last but not least is emotional safety. For self-love, you really need that rested nervous system state. If you've been functioning from a state of survival mode and self-hatred, self-love is not going to be easy to obtain. And the reason I say this is because we love familiarity. And so even if you're starting to introduce things that help you with self-love, for example, discipline and self-compassion, your nervous system state, if it functions at that state of survival, it will snap back. When your nervous system is regulated, your body feels safe enough to actually change. And dependent on where you are before your self-love journey, it could take a little bit. It could take a lot of, I'm okay, I'm safe. And you might see a little bit of progress and then boom, you're back again. A little bit of progress and boom, you're back again. This is because of the baseline state your nervous system is at. And this is exactly what I teach my clients as well. How to get through that phase of snapping back constantly. Emotional safety allows you to sit with your emotions without severe discomfort. We're taught to hide our emotions or overanalyze our emotions when in reality, fully processing them actually allows us to heal. How you process them? Feel it. A lot of people have a huge fear that if you feel the emotion, you're gonna get stuck in it. But when you create a safe space to feel, fully feel, you eventually will reach a baseline state and then you can go up from there. For me personally, whenever I feel like so overwhelmed, I will literally sit on my bed. I will breathe. I will allow myself to cry without analyzing. I will hug myself. I will hold myself. I will repeat, I'm safe. I'm safe. I'm safe. And if that's triggering for you, I want you to go really deep and ask yourself, when was I taught not to feel safe? When we have emotions that we stuff away or hide away, it's actually only hurting yourself more in the long term. It is staying in your body. Even stress has caused severe illnesses. Trapped emotion causes illnesses. And so what we really want to do is have the ability to process those emotions through sitting in it and feeling it. And I promise it will not last forever. Those are my 8 pillars of self-love and a sprinkle of the subconscious mind in there. I hope you loved this video as much as I loved making it. Mwah!